So, as you can probably tell just based on the exchange we've gone through, we've got quite a bit of stuff to do up here in Skyloft before we actually leave this area. And, like I mentioned at the very beginning, there's good reason for it. It might take a bit of time to actually get into the action, but I think it sets up a lot of important story points that you'd really be lost if you didn't see through. So, it's a bit of a give and take. Like, it takes a little while to get into, but I honestly think it's worth it. So this guy hasn't opened up the gate yet. And I always get Horwell and the other instructor confused. Let's just go in and see if we can talk to the guy. Unless he happened to be the same guy that was outside and I'm already getting him confused. See, isn't it funny that I say, as I'm running past the guy, that I'm getting the two of them confused?
No.
Yeah, my Loftwing's missing, and I kinda need some time before the ceremony to find him. Can you help me out here, buddy? Chug, I'm gonna slap you. So like I was saying about this place, I mean, they do go to extensive detail in the dialogue that just to explain some of what's going on and learn a little bit more about the world that you live in, even if it's a bit embellished, because they wouldn't be talking about this to each other openly since they all know it very well. But I think the game does a decent job of explaining it to you without really, you know, explaining it to you. It's hard to explain. Maybe it's just the fact that I played this game through a couple of times and I'm kind of used to the fact that they do talk about these sorts of things to, you know, a great extent. Yeah, I'm guessing that was Horwell because his room's locked. I was thinking of going to him straight, but I always get Horwell and this guy confused. What's his name again? Alan? Yeah, if you can't tell just based on some of these names that they are all based on birds, I imagine the same was true in the Japanese version, that everybody here is just named based on birds. But the headmaster, Kapura, there's a reason why he said hoo-hoo in that dialogue. I think you can make the obvious connection. I know I can, but I guess we can't do anything with them yet. Or maybe we can! You just said you didn't know any... What are you not telling me? You are hiding something from me, buddy. Hey, talk? He's not going to talk to me, is he? He knows something. But I guess all we can do is just run around town asking people. It looks like the gate is open, so we can probably just head down and explore the area that we have. Now, this area, Skyloft, there isn't too much to it. I mean, you've already seen the area with the statue of the goddess. This is where the academy is. And we have a lot of areas around here to explore, but really, the island itself isn't all that big. That said, there really is a lot of stuff here. Some of which I'll point out as we go. Others, I may just not point out. What are you doing? And why can I not talk to you to figure out what it is that you're doing? You gonna tell me? Well, I guess I'll just tell you. Or he'll tell us. You see, not until I try to do it myself do you look like a pumpkin. Like, why did I not realize this until now? Look how baggy his pants are, how stout he looks, and then he has, like, a stalk on his head. Oh, it's, like, perfect timing for this time of year, this cut. Yeah, so, as you can see, the A button is for dashing, which is what I've been doing for a while. The stamina gauge, so that's a little green thing. If anything that you do that expends a lot of energy will eat away at that stamina gauge. And you have to let it recharge before you can expend that energy again. The green fruits obviously recharge that stamina gauge, and all of this will be more important later. But since you can't do a roll with the A button, you have to be dashing with the stamina gauge draining, and then shake the nunchuck to do a roll. And that's how you knock things off of walls or trees. So he's gonna go chase a little bug, and, I mean, there will be plenty for us to do there, but things like this that you just happen to pass along on your way through the area, just without even paying any mind to what's around, or... There's just a lot to this area, even though the area itself isn't all that big. And it'll be more obvious as we go through, we open up new areas, we see different places, and we progress the story, but not immediately. You know, Bruce, that sure was a pain with all that scratching and pecking.
Of course it was. You thought a big crimson Loftwing like that was gonna go down without a fight? But we got him, and I don't care how tough those birds are supposed to be. He's not getting out of that pen anytime soon, boys.
What'd you say about a crimson Loftwing?
Whoa, Giant! So, yeah, just how long have you been standing there? What's your problem, anyway? Oh, wait, I got it. You're here to talk about today's race. I can see it in those dopey eyes of yours. They're pleading, "Oh, Bruce, can you please find it in your heart to let me win today? Please?" You're just desperate to win, so you can get some alone time with Zelda up on the statue of the goddess at the end of the ceremony. Well, sorry, pal. Bruce doesn't do charity for wimps. My advice? Work hard and wish with all your heart. You might even come in second. Say, come to think of it, how come I don't see your bird? Where is that scruffy pile of red feathers? I can't imagine what could have happened to him. Do you think his tiny brain got confused by all the clouds and got lost?
Nice hair, buddy.
You lay off the do right now or I'll flatten you. Everyone knows I got the slickest pompadour in town.
You're the only idiot with a pompadour in town.
You know, we're all getting tired of how you never let anyone forget you and Zelda go way back. You've become friends since you were kids? Big deal! It doesn't change the fact that you float through life with your head in the clouds.
It's kinda hard to do when you live above them.
Would you wake up, straighten up, and grow a backbone already? Dopes like you are dragging our honored academy through the mud.
And just who might you be talking about, Bruce?
Oh! Zelda, hey, nah, it's.
Don't even try it, Bruce. You're picking on Giant again, aren't you? He's a student at the academy like all of us. Why do you insist on bullying him around so much?
Yeah, I suppose.
You suppose? Suppose what? I think his reason for picking on me is staring him right in the face.
I suppose you... Forget it. I wasn't supposing anything, okay? Okay, we're out of here, boys! Later, Giant! Hope you find your bird, or else you're gonna have to sit out today's race! That could be a major setback toward knighthood, so find that bird or get real used to the taste of failure. It's your special flavor.
I think it's pretty easy to tell what's going on here. I hate to say it, but I'm beginning to suspect that those blockheads had something to do with your Loftwing's disappearance. Giant, those guys aren't going to help us find your bird, so we better start searching. I'll fly around Skyloft and see if I can spot any trace of your bird. Father said he'll talk to Instructor Horwell about delaying the start of the wing ceremony, so don't worry, we'll find your bird in time. Alright, great. I'll go fly around and see if I can find it. Oh no, I can't. Damn. Thought of everything. So we know who took the Loftwing, but we still have no idea where it is. So we didn't accomplish all that much. Maybe there are a couple of other people around that know. What's up, Giant? You seem to be in a hurry. Why am I... Okay, I decided that I wasn't going to be voicing for everybody unless it was an important cutscene, and I remembered until I talked to this girl. That's a good idea. Maybe we can go back there again. I didn't get lost. I know exactly where I'm going. Says as he has no idea where he's going. But yeah, the stamina gauge, the way it works, you can hold it down until you reach the very top, at which point your gauge drains completely and you can't really do much of anything. Now you'll notice as you run that the first 3/4 don't go down fairly quickly, but as you reach the last quarter and finally the last eighth of the stamina gauge, it goes down more and more slowly. But when you stop to refill it, it'll refill at the same rate as the rest of the stamina gauge. So the best way to make use of your stamina gauge is to run it all the way down as far as you can, and then let it recharge to the last quarter, and then start running it down again. You'll be seeing me do a lot of that as the game goes on. So if it bothers you to see somebody bring their stamina gauge all the way down to the very bottom, I'm sorry, but it's something you're just going to have to get used to. It's okay, Fledge. I kind of know what's going on. Doesn't surprise me. So I think Fledge is in the same class as we are, and Pippet is one of our upperclassmen. He became a knight relatively recently. You'll learn more about everybody as we go. We've got plenty of side quests and stuff to go through with these guys, and tells you a bit more about their personalities. So they'll be fairly apparent as we go on. Near a waterfall. Yeah, there's only one place on the map that has a waterfall, and they're going to point it out to us directly. So, if you remember, we stopped around over here before we ran back. We have to cross a bridge in order to get over here, or I think we can go over that way. This place is relatively small, but even if you played the game a couple of times, it could get kind of confusing where you are. And again, the map isn't going to stop beeping until we open it up again, which is kind of silly. You're right, maybe I should go ask him to borrow a sword, but yeah, the map's not going to stop beeping until I open it up, so I'm just going to do that. But the sparring hall is right over here. So maybe if we talk to this guy, he'll give us something that'll let us get to our Loftwing, assuming that it's by the waterfall. I think I have a fairly good idea, although, considering the fact that the sword is going to be completely motion controlled, it may be important to talk to him. So we got ourselves a practice sword from the academy. Nothing special, it's just the same sword that everybody else uses, and it's going to tell us to check out our gear screen. So over here is where we're going to be keeping all of our inventory stuff, major items that we have, songs, accessories, story stuff. And if you go over here, there's a collection screen. We will be seeing a lot of this. I don't want to open it more than I have to. So now that we have a sword, it's time to step into what makes Skyward Sword different than all of the other Zeldas. The swordplay. Now, even though in Twilight Princess there was some element of motion controls for the swordplay, it wasn't nearly as fine-tuned as it was in this game. In fact, this is probably as close to real swordplay in a video game as you're going to get. It does have its follies, it's not perfect, but you'd be surprised with just how much precision you can do this. As long as you keep in mind the fact that it's based on where your sword is and how you swing the sword. Like, I can have my sword all the way to the left, but if I swing to the left, it's going to register a left swing, even though the sword is all the way to my right already. So if you keep that in mind, the fact that it isn't based on the position, but the direction of the swing, you'll find it a lot easier to control. But you can see, like for instance, this guy has a marking in the middle of his log. You can just press the sword forward to stab it through. You got this one, which has to slice at an angle. Got one that's over in an angle over here. It's based, again, on the direction that you slice the sword rather than the direction that you start. But of course it's easier to do if you have it set up for that angle of slice. So now he's going to teach us the spin attack. And as opposed to having to charge it up, you can just move the remote and nunchuck horizontally at the same time. It doesn't matter what direction you swing them, as long as you swing them both. And as long as you do it horizontally, there's your spin attack. And of course, if you do it vertically, it'll be a vertical spin attack, which becomes more prevalent in a certain number of fights. And now the fatal blow. Just as it was in Twilight Princess, except you have to swing both the nunchuck and the remote to activate it rather than just press a single button. And of course, shield bashing is a thing, but we don't have a shield yet. Oh right, I didn't tell him why I need the sword, did I? Yeah, and the only way I can get to where I'm going is with something to cut down a certain barrier that's blocking the way, so I kinda need the sword. But, I mean, it's pretty standard stuff. Like, you get to feel this world is a little bit more real just based on how these guys talk. Like, the sparring instructor is naturally worried about the fact that you're taking a sword out of the hall when no one's really supposed to have a sword. And I think, just based on the demographic that this game is going towards, a lot of people can relate to the school stuff early on. So maybe that was what they were going for here, or just the fact that Link was naturally a young man anyway. Might have something to do with it. But here's a Sheikah Stone. I will be spending as little time talking to those things as possible. They offer you some general tips, and I think there are some points where they'll even point out to you where to go in certain instances, but since I have a pretty good idea where I'm going, I'm not going to be making good use of them. And you can roll into stamina fruits in order to gain them back as you go. You'll see a lot of speedrunners do that too, so I would never tout myself as being good enough at this game to put myself in the same breath as some of those guys, but there's still a couple of things I'd like to show off here and there. But there are the rocks that lead to the waterfall over there. So there's only one place on the island that has a waterfall. Of course, the auto-jumping is still a thing. It's a Zelda game after all. And what's this thing? It looks like the same kind of statues that were outside the statue of the goddess. Only has one eye. Aw, poor thing. I hope it gets its eye back soon. But up there are the logs that are preventing us from going into that cave. It's a good thing we picked up a sword so we can cut him down and go through. Can only hope our Loftwing is... There it is! Okay, guess we should go through then. Blood-sucking monsters. Yep, nothing like an island in paradise above the heavens to have blood-sucking monsters in caves. Why not? But this is the only real action that we're going to see until we get off of Skyloft. So of course, Keese, swipe at him with the sword. Nothing big there. Pick up all of these hearts and rupees to get him out of the way. Of course, hearts are your health, rupees are your currency, fairly standard fare. And they only have a couple of denominations of rupees in this game, so I always miss this over here too. There's a ledge over here that you can jump over to that has a treasure chest on it. nice 20 rupees. But yeah, you have green rupees, blue rupees, red rupees, and I think gold rupees. Just forget which direction we want to go from here. Probably up this hill. You didn't miss much back there. But these guys will take a couple of hits. Because the practice sword that we have isn't the strongest in the world. And the little jelly blobs that we've been fighting along the way, you cannot destroy with just any slice of the sword. You have to hit it horizontally in order to kill it. I mean, the bats you can do any old way you want, but the jelly blobs you have to destroy with a horizontal slice. So you can pick up some money on your way through. I tried not to go out of my way for, say, 1 rupees, but can I catch that thing yet? Or no. The bugs we'll be catching a lot of later, but we can't. Most of them we can't catch until we have a certain item. But again, these jelly blobs, you absolutely have to hit with a horizontal slice, or I could be full of shit. Maybe it's just the stabs, and whenever I try a horizontal slice, it sometimes registers a stab, and it doesn't exactly go the way I expect it to. When you're doing a swordplay in this game, the one thing that tends to bother me more than most is when, you know, slicing in a way that I don't intend. I mean, like I mentioned in the sparring hall, even if you have your sword all the way to the left, if you register a left swing, it registers a left swing. It's easy to say that now, but when you're in the heat of battle and you really need to keep on your toes, it's not always something you're thinking about. Giant! Oh, I guess our instincts led us to the same place. Hey, Giant, I was hoping I'd find you here. I heard you'd gone searching for your bird around the waterfall, so I thought I'd fly around to help you look. How's your search going? Any sign of your Loftwing? Oh no. Well, let's not lose hope yet. There's a place up ahead that Groose and his gang are always hanging around. Maybe we'll find something there. Why didn't you look there first?
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling for me? Oh, sorry, Giant. I got distracted for a moment. Let's go. What's she looking at? Well, I guess there's nowhere for us to go but down. And wouldn't you know it? Look, there he is! No doubt about it, that's your Loftwing, Giant! And this is the place where they teach us about directional slices. So you have to hit these with a specific direction. Or, if you want to get it in one slice as opposed to 2, I want to make sure I get this one at the top as opposed to getting this one over here. Normally this would take 2. The spin attack does double damage.